In the world of WWE, the spotlight can turn someone into a legend overnight, but it can just as quickly drag them into darkness. Behind the cheers, fame, and fortune lie bitter tragedies that not everyone is strong enough to overcome. From heroes once celebrated to outcasts despised by the world, they all share one thing in common. They once stood at the top, only to lose everything with their own hands. Today, let's look back at 12 WWE wrestlers who fell to the lowest depths of their careers. Let's begin. Wrestling sphere, go. Lars Sullivan, from rising monster to a spiraling downfall. When Lars Sullivan was called up to WWE's main roster in 2019, he was introduced as a terrifying force, a monster with the potential to dominate the industry. With his massive physique, overwhelming power, and brutal fighting style, Sullivan was set to become the next destructive figure after legends like Brock Lesnar. But soon after his debut, a nightmare erupted. Fans uncovered old online posts made by Sullivan between 2007 and 2013 on internet forums. These messages were filled with hateful language, targeting race, gender, and the LGBTQ+ community. He even insulted future WWE colleagues like Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, and Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of WWE's chairman. The scandal exploded, instantly shattering his image as a rising star. Under immense backlash, WWE had no choice but to intervene. They fined him $100,000 and required him to attend sensitivity training. Sullivan issued a public apology, admitting, "There's no excuse for the offensive comments I made years ago. They don't reflect who I am today, and I sincerely apologize to anyone I hurt." Despite WWE's attempt to salvage his career, Sullivan never recovered. He made a brief return in 2020, only to disappear again in silence. By 2021, he officially parted ways with WWE, with severe anxiety issues cited as the reason he could no longer perform. The harsh truth. Just a few years earlier, Lars Sullivan had been penciled in for a major feud with John Cena, a storyline that could have made him an A-list star. But everything vanished due to past mistakes and inner turmoil. From a potential unstoppable beast to a prime example of how fame can collapse in an instant, Lars Sullivan's downfall remains one of WWE's most dramatic cautionary tales. Joey Ryan, from indie darling to industry outcast. Joey Ryan was once one of the brightest names in independent wrestling. He was famous for his unorthodox style, blending comedy with shock value, making fans laugh and cringe at the same time. Despite the controversy surrounding his gimmick, Ryan built a loyal fanbase and became a standout in promotions like PWG, Lucha Underground, and later, Impact Wrestling. But his spotlight faded faster than anyone imagined. In 2020, as the speaking out movement swept through the wrestling world, numerous victims came forward with accounts of harassment and abuse. Joey Ryan, who once branded himself as an entertainer, became one of its most notorious figures. Over 15 women accused him of misconduct, with some accounts detailing deeply disturbing behavior. Impact Wrestling, which had been working with Ryan, wasted no time. They immediately terminated his contract and removed all of his content from their platforms. But instead of showing remorse, Ryan released a long video, attempting to deny all allegations and criticizing Impact's decision. He insisted, "I've never done anything with a woman without consent. I'm not guilty, and I have proof to back it up." Yet, the proof, he mentioned, never surfaced. Once influential on the indie scene, Joey Ryan became a pariah. Promotions refused to book him, fellow wrestlers distanced themselves, and fans viewed him as a symbol of disgrace. With no place left in wrestling, Ryan took a job at Universal Studios, far from the stage that once made him famous. His story is a grim reminder that fame can vanish overnight, and once trust is broken, the road back may not exist at all. Ryback, from the big guy to the man who destroyed his own reputation. When Ryback left WWE in 2016, the big guy was still seen as a potential star. With his massive physique, explosive strength, and intense in-ring style, many believed he would thrive elsewhere, maybe in Impact Wrestling or on the independent scene. But instead of rising, Ryback plunged into a downward spiral of self-destruction. Over time, he became more of a punchline than a respected veteran. No longer known for powerful performances, Ryback gained notoriety for bizarre social media rants. He repeatedly bashed WWE, insulted former co-workers, and launched senseless attacks at Vince McMahon, even crossing the line by disrespecting Vince's late mother, which caused outrage among the wrestling community. It only got stranger. Ryback began posting frequently on TikTok, live streaming for hours to ramble aimlessly or simply eat a bag of chips in mukbang videos. Fans couldn't help but question, was the big guy mentally stable or just desperately clinging to whatever attention he could get? As of today, Ryback hasn't wrestled a single match in over 5 years, and no major promotion seems interested in hiring him. At one point, he ran a Twitter poll asking fans if he should return to WWE, go to AEW, or retire. The majority voted for retire. Embarrassed, he deleted the poll, calling it an experiment. But when he reposted it, the result was the same. Fans wanted him gone. Once seen as WWE's next powerhouse, Ryback is now just a shadow of his former self. His story is proof that muscle alone can't sustain fame, respect and humility can. And those are the qualities the big guy lost long ago. Tessa Blanchard, from golden prodigy to the biggest fall in women's wrestling. Once hailed as the future of women's wrestling, Tessa Blanchard had everything required to become a legend, a prestigious lineage, elite skill, and the aura of a born champion. As the daughter of Tully Blanchard, a member of the legendary Four Horsemen, Tessa entered the ring carrying both pressure and promise. She began on the independent circuit before joining WWE NXT in 2016. Though she only appeared briefly as enhancement talent, her intensity, precision, and star presence drew attention. Fans expected big things from her in the Mae Young Classic, but she was eliminated in the first round by Kairi Sane. Rumors soon emerged about her backstage attitude, arrogance, lack of cooperation, and WWE chose not to sign her long-term. Refusing to fade away, Tessa moved to Impact Wrestling and proved her worth. She became the face of the Knockouts division and even competed against male wrestlers, a rare feat for women. Her historic moment came when she defeated Sami Callihan to become the first female Impact World Champion, earning global respect. But just months later, everything collapsed. While at the peak of her fame, Tessa tweeted a message encouraging women to support each other. That simple line ignited a storm. Numerous former colleagues stepped forward, accusing her of bullying, abusive behavior, and making racist remarks, particularly toward wrestler La Rosa Negra. Despite her denials, Tessa's reputation crumbled. Tensions with Impact worsened. She refused to appear at Slammiversary or send promotional videos, despite still holding the world title. Impact stripped her of the championship and terminated her contract. Since then, both WWE and AEW have avoided her, unwilling to risk her controversial image. However, in late 2024, Impact unexpectedly offered Tessa a chance to return. Though the road to redemption is long, it may be her first step toward repairing the damage. Her story proves one hard truth: talent can get you to the top, but only character keeps you there. Brian Kendrick, from the next Shawn Michaels to the man who threw it all away. At one time, many believed Brian Kendrick would become WWE's next Shawn Michaels, a smaller-framed superstar with extraordinary skill, charisma, and unmatched ring psychology. Born to perform, Kendrick dazzled with his storytelling, aerial maneuvers, and artistic style that ignited the crowd every time he stepped through the ropes. After splitting from the tag team London and Kendrick, WWE revamped his image with the persona, the Brian Kendrick, an arrogant, confident heel protected by bodyguard Ezekiel Jackson. The character resonated. Kendrick scored key victories and even competed in WWE's first-ever championship scramble, briefly holding the WWE title in the match. It was clear WWE saw him as a future star. But behind the spotlight, darkness grew. Kendrick became entangled with marijuana use, repeatedly violating WWE's wellness policy. Despite warnings, he ignored them, believing his talent would shield him from consequences. Unfortunately, WWE was then in a strict crackdown phase following multiple drug scandals, and Kendrick's actions amounted to career suicide. After 2008, everything nosedived. He went from a rising star to enhancement talent, used only to make others look strong. In 2009, WWE officially released him, citing non-compliance with health policy and refusal to quit marijuana. 7 years later, a more mature Brian Kendrick returned to WWE. He helped build 205 Live, mentored younger talent, and wrestled out of pure passion. But the spotlight he once had was gone. The chance to become a legend, the next Shawn Michaels, had passed, lost because he couldn't defeat his biggest opponent, himself. Ric Flair, the immortal legend and the fall at the end of a career. No one can deny that Ric Flair is one of the greatest icons in professional wrestling history. Known as the Nature Boy, Flair embodied luxury, arrogance, and a lavish lifestyle like no other. Over more than 4 decades, he conquered every peak, captured multiple world championships, and left a legacy carved in stone. But in the twilight of his career, that legacy became clouded by controversy and scandal. In 2021, Dark Side of the Ring aired the episode Plane Ride from Hell, revisiting one of WWE's most notorious incidents. In it, a flight attendant accused Ric Flair of acting out of control during the flight, claiming he forced her to touch his private area while wearing nothing but his signature robe. The allegations triggered public outrage, bringing renewed scrutiny to WWE's backstage culture. The woman sued WWE, and the case was settled out of court, with details never disclosed. WWE never officially confirmed any punishment for Flair back in 2002. Many believed that due to his immense influence, he avoided consequences. But once the episode aired, the backlash was immediate. Flair issued a statement denying the accusations, insisting the story was exaggerated and false. Yet damage was done. WWE swiftly removed his likeness from opening packages and severed most public ties with the Nature Boy. Just when the uproar seemed to fade, 2023 brought another shock. Tony Khan signed Flair to AEW. Although labeled a sponsorship deal, fans saw it as a hypocritical move, unwilling to forget unresolved allegations. From a celebrated legend to a divisive figure, Ric Flair now stands as both glory and controversy in one name. His career is a harsh reminder. No matter how great your legacy, one moment of disgrace can shadow a lifetime of achievement. Sunny, from shining icon to the deepest darkness. In the mid-90s, Sunny was the woman who made WWE audiences hold their breath every time she walked out. Considered the first true diva of professional wrestling, she paved the way for future female stars. With radiant beauty, natural charisma, and the ability to command attention, Sunny wasn't just the face of WWE. She was one of the most downloaded women of the early internet era. She appeared in major storylines, managed top tag teams, and embodied the golden age of divas. But fame quickly gave way to chaos. After leaving WWE, Sunny's life spiraled downward. Once celebrated on TV, she became a tabloid spectacle. In 2012, she hit rock bottom, arrested 5 times in just 1 month for violating restraining orders and disorderly conduct. Each time she was released, she reoffended, shattering any remaining image of the beloved icon she once was. The years that followed only worsened. Sunny descended into addiction, alcohol abuse, and broken relationships. The darkest moment came in 2022, when she caused a fatal car accident that killed a 75-year-old man. Investigators confirmed she was driving under the influence. That tragic day ended any hope of redemption. In November 2023, she was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison, plus 8 years of probation, sealing the tragic end of one of WWE's once brightest faces. Today, the name Sunny exists only as a bitter warning of how fast fame can disappear. WWE has virtually erased her from official history, and she will never be remembered in a positive light again. From the brightest spotlight to the darkest abyss, her story proves a brutal truth. Not everyone who shines can hold onto the light forever. Alberto Del Rio, from world champion to an unrecoverable fall. At one point, Alberto Del Rio was seen as WWE's aristocrat. A man who had everything needed to become a top superstar, a refined appearance, solid wrestling skills, and confident mic work. WWE placed huge faith in him, positioning Del Rio as the new face of Latino representation. He captured multiple championships, including the world title, Money in the Bank, and the Royal Rumble, a resume anyone would envy. But behind the spotlight, Del Rio harbored a dark side that would ultimately destroy his career beyond repair. Everything began to crack in 2016, when Del Rio publicly dated fellow wrestler Paige. What seemed like a power couple quickly turned into a nightmare. After their breakup, accusations surfaced, claiming Del Rio frequently abused and controlled Paige, physically and emotionally. In a 2020 interview, Paige bravely recounted those horrifying times, being locked in rooms for hours, beaten, and paralyzed by fear. She called him Voldemort, the man she refuses to name, the one who left scars that would never heal. In that same year, Del Rio faced legal trouble again, charged with assault and sexual misconduct involving a new girlfriend. Although the case was dismissed in 2021, his reputation was already in ruins. No promotion wanted anything to do with the name Alberto Del Rio, now synonymous with scandal and self-destruction. By late 2023, Del Rio's image had become heartbreaking. A former world champion who once performed before tens of thousands, now wrestling in a high school gym before just a few dozen people. A bitter contrast, from WrestleMania grandeur to forgotten small venues. Alberto Del Rio didn't just lose his fame, he lost himself. And to many, that downfall was a price he fully deserved. Ted DiBiase Jr., from WWE's heir apparent to a man entangled in the law. When Ted DiBiase Jr. entered WWE, he carried the heavy legacy of his father, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, an icon of the golden era. With a handsome look, ideal physique, and a prestigious lineage, fans believed Ted Jr. would become a cornerstone of the company. He joined Cody Rhodes in the faction legacy under Randy Orton, one of the most respected groups of that time. On paper, DiBiase Jr. had it all: solid in-ring ability, aristocratic presence, and a name that commanded attention. Yet despite the push between 2008 to 2010, Ted Jr. never escaped Randy Orton's shadow. After Legacy dissolved, his career plummeted. WWE attempted to reinvent him as the $1 Million Son, the official heir to his father's character, but the audience didn't connect. Lacking charisma and a distinct identity, Ted DiBiase Jr. quietly faded from television and left WWE in 2013. Life outside the ring was expected to be peaceful, but the real storm had yet to come. In 2023, his name returned to headlines, not for achievements, but for a massive financial scandal. The U.S. Department of Justice accused Ted DiBiase Jr. of embezzling and laundering federal welfare funds intended for low-income families in Mississippi. He was charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 6 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of theft, and 4 counts of money laundering. If convicted, he could face up to 180 years in prison, a staggering possibility. From a golden heir, destined to continue a legacy, Ted DiBiase Jr. now stands as a symbol of bitter failure. WWE glory is nothing but a distant memory, as the once $1 Million Son faces losing everything: freedom, reputation, and future. A fall to rock bottom, in every sense. Velveteen Dream, from WWE's golden future to a man rejected by the industry. Between 2018 and 2019, the name Velveteen Dream was nearly synonymous with creativity and originality in NXT. He possessed every attribute of a future superstar: eccentric style, magnetic presence, and an ability to control the crowd with just a glance. Dream didn't just wrestle, he performed stories. Within WWE, he was viewed as the raw gem who could shape the future. Rumors even spread that John Cena himself wanted to face him on the main roster. But Dream's path to greatness took a disastrous turn. In 2020, at the peak of his rise, he was accused of sending inappropriate messages and explicit images to minors on Instagram. The situation escalated during the Speaking Out movement, as more allegations emerged involving underage individuals. Amid overwhelming public backlash, WWE responded. Triple H stated that the company conducted an investigation and found no credible evidence by their standards. But instead of calming the fire, it fueled more outrage. Each time Dream appeared on TV, social media erupted with #FireVelveteenDream, making him one of the most despised figures in WWE at that moment. Despite his immense talent, the pressure was unbearable. WWE had no choice but to terminate his contract, ending one of NXT's most tragic stories. Since then, Velveteen Dream has vanished from the spotlight. No company will sign him, no promotion wants his name associated with theirs. Once hailed as WWE's creative icon of the future, he is now a cautionary tale, where talent meets scandal and a single choice buries an entire career. Hulk Hogan, the fallen icon of professional wrestling. For decades, the name Hulk Hogan was nearly synonymous with WWE. He was the face who took professional wrestling beyond sports entertainment, turning it into a global cultural phenomenon. With his towering frame, booming voice, and the slogan, "Say your prayers and eat your vitamins," Hogan became a hero to millions, especially children. But everything collapsed in a single moment. In 2015, an audio recording from 2007 surfaced, shaking the world. In it, Hulk Hogan made deeply racist remarks, repeatedly using offensive slurs toward black people. The shock wasn't just in the words themselves, but in who said them, the man who once represented love, unity, and the American spirit. WWE reacted immediately. Hogan was erased from the Hall of Fame, and all images, videos, and merchandise related to him were removed from company platforms. Hogan later apologized, calling it the worst moment of his life, and claiming he had changed. But the public wasn't quick to forgive. For many, a global hero using such hateful language was unforgivable. Fellow wrestlers, especially prominent black stars, openly expressed their disappointment. Some legends flat out stated they were not ready to accept his apology. Years later, WWE slowly allowed him to reappear, mostly during anniversary shows. Yet every time his name was announced, the reaction was split, nostalgia from some, boos from others. Because a reputation can take a lifetime to build, but one sentence can destroy it. On July 24, 2025, Hulk Hogan passed away at the age of 71, closing a turbulent chapter in wrestling history. His contributions to WWE and pop culture are undeniable, but the stain of that scandal remains an unshakable shadow. Hogan was once a hero to millions, but he also proved that no one, no matter how great, is above the consequences of their own words. Teddy Hart, from family pride to personal tragedy. The name Hart was once a symbol of excellence in wrestling, tied to legends like Bret and Owen Hart. When Teddy Hart emerged, many believed he would be the one to carry that legacy forward. He had outstanding talent, a daring in-ring style, and a natural charisma that commanded attention. But instead of rising to greatness, Teddy destroyed every opportunity handed to him. He debuted at just 15 years old and was signed by WWE at 18, a rare achievement. But his oversized ego led to constant defiance, arguments, and disrespect toward veterans. In 2002, WWE was forced to release him, despite his enormous potential. He continued wrestling on the independent scene, but trouble followed wherever he went. At Ring of Honor, he was expelled for performing dangerous, unscripted moves. At TNA, he got into backstage fights, including a notorious clash with CM Punk. WWE gave him a second chance in 2005, but his impulsive attitude led to another firing within 2 years. His stint with Major League Wrestling, alongside the Hart Foundation, briefly restored hope, but a string of legal issues, from assault to drug possession and serious accusations, ultimately buried his career. Today, Teddy Hart wrestles only in small, obscure venues, with no glory left behind. From a prodigy born to inherit a legacy, he has become one of wrestling's harshest lessons. Talent can make you famous, but character determines how long you last. Every story here is a reminder that fame never lasts forever. No matter how high someone rises, anyone can fall. If you found this video compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you won't miss any more shocking stories like these.